Yo, what's poppin'? It's your boy Nandra here. Welcome to another video. So, on Monday, I said that I was going to do a bit of a rundown of like 4 or 5 decks that I thought that you could play in the current metagame just because I believe that they're good. So, it's now Saturday, well, going into Sunday, so I figured I would go ahead and do that today. Alright, so there are a few different decks from a few different people. Some of them are mine, some of them are not mine, and of course, I'll be giving credit where credit is due. So let's go ahead and start off with the first one. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's SOS's aggro blood. So let me go and clarify something. I was trying out Fanning Serpent as opposed to Vite, just because I felt like Vite didn't do anything, but Vite is definitely still better, just because in the event where it actually does do something, it's actually a 4-3, and a 4-3 as an aggro deck is always better than a 3-2. But going on to the rest of the deck, it's pretty much like aggro blood, which pretty much has been more or less the same since ROB, with the exception of now you play Karabos and now you probably play more demonic strikes. It's very, very aggressive in the early game because you play, well, you have a lot of 1-drops. You have access to 9 1-drops. That's almost as many as that of aggressor plays. You have very, very aggressive early game, and then you have the Karabos to try to close up the game by just going, Karabos, and then you can either stall if you need to, or you can just go ahead and just light them up with burn spells. You got the Razor Claws, you got the demonic strikes. That's a lot of out-hand damage. You of course have the Dance of Death, and of course the Implants. And when it comes down to it, sometimes you can get Vanya or Vanya, however you pronounce it, into some Bloodkin for a little bit of extra reach. It's a very, very aggressive deck. I don't know exactly where he is on ladder, but I do know he was number 1 a few days ago. Another really good one I think is Vengeance Blood. So similar to that aggro blood, you have a lot of strong early game. Except whereas the aggro blood uses a lot of tokens, you do actually have some good value units in this deck. You have the Belphegor to draw you 2 cards, put you into Vengeance to go ahead and enable the rest of your deck. You have the Dark General as a finisher. You have the Karabos as a finisher. You have the Scarlet Super as a good stall card. You also, of course, you still have access to the same burn damage, although you have a little bit less in terms of burn damage, because not only have the 1 Dance Death and the 3 Razor Claw, but you do get search capabilities from that of Baphomet, as well as a strong defensive board, and that of Spiderweb Imp. The next one, Sizouney's Burn Dirt. So I always bring this up a lot, just because a lot of people they tend to ask me for rune decks, because they do know that I do play rune. And his burn deck is actually very, very strong, because you have a lot of points of damage in the deck. It's also very, very cheap to make too. You don't actually have to play this Calamitous Curse. You can make this another Mutabolt if you want to, which I know more people probably have Mutabolts than they do have Calamitous Curses. As the 3 Levi, the 2 Oz, you can play 3 Oz if you want to, but he's playing 2 in favor of going for a 2-2 split of Concentration and Oz. And of course the 3 Levi. But outside of that, the deck's actually very, very cheap to make. It's pretty strong too. He's won quite a few games with it, both on stream as well as in the tournament setting. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to maybe say one of his VODs where he played it down in the description of the video. You guys can go ahead and check it out later. Next on the list, you might not like it. I can't imagine that you would. But dshift. So this is one of the variants of dshift. There are quite a few right now. I don't remember who was the popularized this build, but it is one of the current builds that are running around. So you can do 1 Flame Destroyer and one Giant Chimera. You can make that as a split. But for me personally, I like having 2 Giant Chimeras, just because I feel like if I have 2, I can see 1 early. If I see 1 early, then I don't need the dshift one. I just need to stall and make the Chimera enormous. It's relatively straightforward how to play this deck, and it is actually very, very cheap, just because rune decks in general are pretty cheap, because there's no Sybil or there's no Albert for this deck, or sorry, for this class. You generally cap out at a few gold or something like that. I do have some Rollins in here, but again, it's still relatively cheap to make. It's also pretty fun to play, probably not as fun to play against, but yeah, and it definitely requires a good handle on just basic decision makings, because you will get punished here. You will get punished if you fuck up and you don't do something correctly. Yeah. Wrong deck. Alright, this is neutral rune. So, this is actually one of my decks. I made this a while ago. I mean, like, a while ago. Like, I made this, like, around, like, towards the end of Wonderlands, I think? Something like that. Yeah, like, it was during that brief period of time where everyone was playing, like, one of Odin and just, like, annoyed the crap out of me, because I hate getting Odin as dragon. But, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You basically just, like, play neutrals. You play the neutral early game, and then you kind of curve up, because you also have, like, 7, 8, and 9 drops. Well, 7, 8, 9, and 10 drops. There, you can go ahead and try to find space for Bahamut, but at the time, I really wanted to just be able to kind of like close up the game versus say most like mid-range decks. Not really that much versus dragon, because like I was just relying on the fact that, well, I have Odin and I have some other things that'll just like help me like be able to just like out pressure out the dragon before it even gets to 10 mana. Alright, so this is one of 2 different PTK decks that I think are pretty good right now. I know a lot of people were just like, you know, like thoroughly convinced that PTK was dead, PTK was gutted, like all this, that, and the third. But no, PTK has actually been topping and winning some tournaments. I don't think it's like really caught on in that in North America or like the West or anything like that. But I do know that in the East it actually won a JCG. Actually, literally yesterday. This isn't the one that won the JCG, I don't think, but this is a more like aggressive storm focused PTK version. Now, for the most part, most PTK decks will actually have pretty much all of this top end. Like, everyone's running Forte Erd because like Forte Erd is still very strong, and it really helps you close the games. Just because like you really don't want to be playing stuff like Genesis Strike. I mean, like you can, but you really don't want to. This one is another one. Again, it's really similar. I believe like one of the core changes is that this one's playing Blazing Breath to help out for aggro, as well as Aqua Nereid. Aqua Nereid is actually very strong, and it's part of why PTK is not dead. On your first turn of Overflow, with the changes that PTK got, it now makes it so this way you can't go 4-drop plus 2-drop plus 1-drop unless of course you happen to have Ivory Dragon. But Aqua Nereid, it still lets you get your 2 procs, and usually if you can get the 2 procs, that's usually enough that you need to clear the board and be able to free up an Evo, which you can then use to Evo the PTK. At 5 base HP, the PTK is still super obnoxious to take out, but now you sometimes don't really need to I guess like care if the PTK lives or not, just because like you can kind of like treat the PTK as like Breath of Solomon or 4, 5, and 6, because again you have the Forte Erd combo, which does 12 damage, and that's a little bit more than what the PTK can do by herself. But the PTK will go ahead and like buy you the time, get you into range, go ahead and allow you to fish for pieces with that staircase, and you'll be good to go. All right. This is Jay-Z's midshadow. If you don't know who Jay-Z is, he's the 2-time North American NGE winner. It's pretty straightforward for the most part. There's a lot of different ways you can play midshadow, and there are a lot of different builds. But I decided to use this one as a frame of reference for you guys, just because, again, he's someone that's like well known in the community, or at least should be well known in the community. And of course, it has like the One Deathly Tyrant. The One Deathly Tyrant is good because it helps you versus matchups where you're not gonna be able to get chip damage, where you're gonna have to rely on like a burst finish of some sort. Because, well, yeah, the X-Heart is in fact a burst finish. The X-Heart requires you to have a sticky board made beforehand in order to actually like, you know, do something, like instead of just, you know, trying to like claw you back into the game. But generally, you'll find that when you like play this deck, that's a lot of like, you know, planning way in advance and just like deciding how it is that they want to be able to reach your win condition. Are you going to make a sticky board? Are you going to use Ektar? Like, what have you? Alright, so that's gonna be the last deck for today. The part 2 will probably be out tomorrow, actually. Probably tomorrow. I'll go ahead and try to hurry up and like wake up early and try to finish it up. If you enjoyed the video, go and leave a like, go and hit the subscribe button. Let me know what decks that you're finding success with in this current metagame down in the comments below, because this isn't any deck can win meta, so I would not be surprised if you guys have been playing some pretty crazy stuff. I know I have. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.